Hey guys, this is Jeremy from 78 Productions, and I want to give you guys 10 tips for your church podcast. So if you guys haven't checked it out, we have the Level Up podcast where we get to talk with our contributors about a lot of different topics on church technology. But we also have a lot of great content expert people on our podcast that we interview, including Justin Wise about social media, Eric Dye from Church Mag on what it means to be able to run a blog and be really busy, and Dustin Stout where we explore what it means to be creative. And we have a lot of great content that comes with this, but we actually have learned some stuff in the process about how to create great podcasts that we want to include and to be able to share for these resources for you guys. The first one is that what is it that you are trying to create as far as form factor? I highly encourage you guys not to be able to put your sermon into a podcast. And the reason I say that is you write a sermon for the sake of giving a sermon on Sunday mornings. You do not create a sermon for a podcast. That would be illogical, and your sermon probably on Sunday morning would be terrible. And so think outside the box, go beyond just copying what you do on Sunday morning and create something new, create something great and engaging. Number two is to think about the form factor itself. And so you have live streaming, you have video. Those are all good things. You can put it on YouTube, whatever that looks like. But podcasts are the idea that you are doing something, and so you're multitasking. You're trying to be able to do the dishes. You're trying to be able to mow. You're on the drive to work. You're being able to go work out. I do all those things, and I listen to podcasts. And so you have their ear, but you might not have their ear fully. You need to have a story. You need to have something that's engaging to be able to really produce something great. Number three is, what does it mean as far as length? There's two different kind of podcasts that I've seen. There's the short ones and then there's the long ones. The short ones are about 20, 25 minutes. They're extremely concentrated, and it really is the idea that you can get some great message out quickly. So that would be my third idea. But my fourth one is, if you go long, to be able to have a lot of content and to be able to really engage in dialogue about something extensively. I know for us, we'd be able to shoot an hour-long podcast. It really isn't that difficult, but it's because of how we do it. Which brings me to number 5. Maybe you want to have people on your podcast, and that's great. Because you trying to create a lot of content for 20 or for an hour is a lot of work. And so you already do a sermon. You already do a lot of research as far as what it means to be able to have content to put out there for people with your congregation. But maybe you bring in a lot of other people. Now, tip number 6 is, the more people you have, the more complicated it gets. That means you need to have more equipment. That means you need to have more time and scheduling. It means that you need to be able to accommodate all these different factors. You have to be able to not worry about talking over each other. It does get complex, and so minimize as much of that as you need to. And maybe that means you only have 1 or 2 people. Number 7, think about the actual equipment that you're using. I would highly encourage you to use the same microphones in everything that you do. It probably means that you'll have to have headsets if you need to, especially if you have someone that's mixing all of this. And so make sure you have great equipment, but same equipment. I've seen it where it's done where there's different microphones and you can tell what is going on. Number 8, do worry about the background noise. I'm just thinking about my idea of my son upstairs. He was coughing before, and I couldn't do this video because he was coughing, and so I knew that there was the background ambient noise of what was going on, and it's distracting. Make sure you have all of that figured out. Number 9, have a niche. We talk about church technology on our podcast. If you don't talk about church, or if you don't talk about podcasts or about technology, it's not going to be for our podcast. So the iPhone release that we had just recently, it's not for our podcast because there's no church technology unless we start to incorporate that. Now, number 10, the final one, go big or go home. And I say this because in the idea of the niche, you have content that you want to be able to do. It's going to create the series of different podcasts that you talk about. But in the go big or go home, have those ideas that you want to share with people and don't hold back. I know one of our biggest podcasts that we do is on pornography. And we've had actually 400 views for this. And just the idea of being able to have something that we have passionately thought about, that we want to have you guys here, and you guys being able to take that risk and to jump in has been amazing. So what is it that you're going to do that's go big or go home? Now, we have an 11th tip down below in our actual blog post. Go check it out. But obviously it's something that's close to our hearts we really love. So we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Are you going to do a church podcast? If so, shoot us the podcast link on iTunes. What does it mean for you to do a podcast? How are you going to do it? What ideas are you going to use? What content? Are there other tips that we did not include in this? So we'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.